Welcome back to the Fredua Christian Historical Channel. I'm so glad you've joined me for episode 2 of our series, Exploring the History of Pornography. If you haven't seen the first episode, I encourage you to check it out. And if you find this content valuable, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. God bless you for watching. Last time, we explored the ancient world's surprisingly open attitude toward erotic art. But as the Roman Empire crumbled, a powerful new force rose to dominate Europe: Christianity. This ushered in the Middle Ages, a 1,000-year period from roughly 500 to 1500 AD, where the Church's teachings profoundly reshaped ideas about sin, morality, and the human body. The prevailing Christian doctrine was clear. Sexual activity was permissible only within the sacred bond of marriage, and its primary purpose was procreation. Thing outside of that context, including lustful thoughts or depictions, was considered sinful. This had a massive impact on art and culture. The vibrant, explicit art of Rome was suddenly seen not as a celebration of life, but as a dangerous temptation. As a result, a great cultural shift occurred. Religious authorities, driven by a mission to purify society, actively suppressed or even destroyed works they deemed indecent. This wasn't just about art, it was about public order. Strict morality laws were enacted across Europe, punishing actions like adultery and prostitution. Creating or possessing what we might now call erotic art could lead to severe consequences. The very idea of publicly displaying such imagery became taboo. But human creativity is a resilient thing. Artists who still felt the pull to explore themes of love, desire, and the human form had to become clever. They couldn't be direct, so they became symbolic. Erotic themes were often veiled in mythological stories or hidden within complex allegorical paintings. You might see a scene from a Greek myth that allowed for nudity, but it was framed as a classical, educational subject rather than a purely sensual one. It was a way to explore forbidden territory while maintaining a veneer of respectability and avoiding the wrath of the church. Think of it as a secret code, understood by those who knew where to look. Even with this widespread suppression, there were exceptions, especially in the world of literature. But these were far from the public eye. Secret manuscripts circulated privately among the highly educated elite, the nobility, and royal courts. These weren't for the common person. A great example is the Foglios, a collection of comic, often bawdy tales that emerged in France. These stories were filled with witty and sometimes raunchy humor, often poking fun at everyday life, including its more intimate aspects. They were meant to be entertaining and were shared in close circles, like a whispered joke among friends. Another famous example is Giovanni Boccaccio's masterpiece, the Decameron, written around 1353. Set during the Black Death in Florence, the book is a collection of 100 tales told by a group of young men and women sheltering in a villa outside the city. While many stories are tragic or noble, a significant number are humorous, romantic, and frankly, quite sexual. They deal with love, trickery, and desire in a very human way. But again, the Decameron was a work for the literate and wealthy. Its circulation was limited to those who could afford hand-copied manuscripts and could read them in private. It was a world away from the sermons and religious texts that shaped the lives of the general population. So, within Christian Europe, a clear division existed. Publicly, morality was strict and sensuality was suppressed. Privity. Among the privileged few, a hidden world of erotic literature and coded art persisted. Now, let's zoom out and look beyond Europe, because the rest of the world was on a completely different path. While Christian Europe was actively censoring sexual expression, many cultures in Asia continued to embrace it as a natural and even spiritual part of life. Let's start with India. Around 400 400 AD, a foundational text known as the Kama Sutra was compiled. Many people today mistakenly think the Kama Sutra is just a manual of sexual positions, but it is so much more. It's a comprehensive guide to the art of living well, combining philosophy, love, and sensuality. It treats pleasure and intimacy as essential components of a full and virtuous life. This philosophy is literally carved in stone. The magnificent temples of Khajuraho, built around the 10th century, are famous for their intricate and explicit carvings. These sculptures depict human intimacy in all its forms. But this wasn't pornography in the modern sense. It was deeply spiritual. The carvings were meant to symbolize the sacred union of the divine and the human, the blending of the physical and spiritual realms. For them, sensuality was a pathway to understanding the divine, not a sin to be ashamed of. Moving further east to Japan, we find a unique art form called shunga. Starting in the 1600s and flourishing for centuries, shunga were woodblock prints that openly and graphically depicted erotic scenes. Unlike in Europe, these were not seen as shameful or hidden. They were considered a normal and beautiful genre of art, often created by the most famous artists of the day. Shunga prints were exchanged as gifts, particularly for newlyweds. Believed to bring good fortune and act as a guide to marital bliss, they were appreciated for their artistic skill, humor, and celebration of human passion. The context was entirely different. It was art, not filth. And in China, a rich tradition of erotic art and literature also existed for centuries, especially under powerful dynasties like the Tang and the Ming. Graceful scrolls and delicate paintings celebrated beauty, passion, and the joys of love. This art was often highly refined and sophisticated, intended for the appreciation of the educated gentry. While not always public, it was an accepted part of the culture, viewed as a celebration of life's pleasures rather than a moral transgression. So, as we stand back and look at the global picture during the Middle Ages and into the early modern period, we see a fascinating and sharp divergence. In Christian Europe, the dominant religious ideology led to the widespread suppression of erotic expression, driving it underground and forcing it into coded, symbolic forms. It was framed almost exclusively as sin, free holiday. Meanwhile, in large parts of Asian India, Japan, China's sensuality and eroticism were often viewed as an integral, beautiful, and sometimes even spiritual part of the human experience. It was integrated into art, literature, and philosophy. This historical contrast is absolutely crucial for understanding our modern, often conflicted, attitudes toward this subject. The legacy of the Middle Ages, with its emphasis on shame and suppression, still echoes in many Western societies today. At the same time, the more open traditions of the East offer a different perspective, one where sensuality and art can coexist without conflict. What happened next? The invention of the printing press, the Renaissance, and the Enlightenment would once again revolutionize how these images and ideas were created and shared, bringing them out of the private courts and into the hands of more and more people. And that is exactly what we will explore in episode 3. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Fred Dewar Christian Historical Channel. I hope this journey through history has been insightful for you. If you've learned something new, please give this video a thumbs up. And do you forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next episode. God bless you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.